This programme is the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli.
Welcome to Brands Hatch and the third round of the 2019 Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. We're on the short Indy circuit this weekend, which always generates cracking racing, and we've enjoyed plenty of that already this season. It's Simon Clark who at the moment heads the points table, but it's very close behind, and we're expecting more fantastic action as the rest try to close the gap. Well, Mark, congratulations. Double pole position here at Brands Hatch and hopefully a bit of a return to form. It's been a trying year so far, hasn't it?
It's been an awful year, to be perfectly honest with you. So, yeah, I mean, to be fair, we normally go well around this circuit. So we're hoping that obviously we're having 4 races here, we can try and put a fight back into the championship again, really, because obviously Donington we had an issue, so we didn't finish both races, and then Brands GP didn't work for us. So yeah, we're just hoping to try and get some momentum going again.
Matt, welcome back to Brands Hatch, the scene of your first ever podium last time out in rather different conditions to what we've got today.
Yeah, that was quite a shock actually. Going around the first corner and the safety car being there and being in front. I got pipped about halfway through the race, but absolute cracking. I really enjoyed that race. It's tough in the wet, and on the Grand Prix track as well. It's really, really difficult to get quick straight away there. I made the right tyre choice and got a bit lucky, I think.
Ross, your unbeaten run of victories came to an end here last time out because of a bad tyre choice in the end. Despite that, it's been a spectacular start to the season, hasn't it?
I couldn't have hoped for more, really. I came into it a bit underconfident, thinking just come and try and get some podiums, and end up with 3 race wins on the trot. So now committed to doing the full season, see how I finish.
Points-wise, things are looking pretty good, aren't they? Once you take the drops into equation, you're right up there. Was that always the target, to be contending for the title this year?
Not the title. I would have liked Class 2, that's the main thing, but then I thought if you do well in Class 2 and Class 1's always fighting amongst each other, you've got a good chance of the title from Class 2. It's happened in the past.
Bit of an up and down season for you so far, has to be said, but last time here on the Grand Prix circuit, a pretty successful weekend all round.
Oh yeah, no, it was good. I had my first race weren't the best, qualified pretty poor, dry with slicks, so that was good. But the second race, I was on slicks, everyone else on wets. But yeah, finished third, happy with that.
You've got another new car this weekend. This is a new car now for you, isn't it? Any early car teething troubles?
Yeah, this is my new one. So the lads, fair play to the lads, finished shelling it rebuilding it on Thursday night, 10 o'clock. We rocked up here yesterday for testing. A few oil leaks, still got a few oil leaks now. Yeah, it's a few teething problems, but we'll get through it by the end of the day.
Race 5 of the 2019 Championship about to get underway. Mark McAleer joined on the front row by Kevin Harris and Richard Higgins. Welcome return to him. He's on row 2 with Craig Wilkins, Simon Clark and Pete Morris next from Jonathan Evans. And Chris Dyer. Evans moving up into Class 1. Jake McAleer, then Andy Toon. James Cayley and Matt Kyle Henney, who's on pole for Class 2. Steve Cheetham, followed by James Coleman, Ross Morris and Toby Barlow. Then it's Alistair Isles and Kevin Molyneux. Del Brett and Ben Demetriou, Adam Davey, Paul Seagrave and Trevor Lewis, followed by Angus Archer. Then Steve Freeman, Julian Morris, pole for the Class 3s. Alistair Nelson next up from Wayne Minogue, Matthew Harris, Carl Hazelton and Josh Morris at the back. A huge grid, and away we go. Superb start by Kevin Harrison and also Craig Wilkins from row 2. Mark McAleer from pole is down to third as they go into Paddock Hill Bend for the first time in car with Simon Clark, the championship leader. Cayman v Cayman here on the inside line of Chris Dyer as they go up towards Druids for the first time. Well, that was a great start by Kevin Harrison. Home circuit for Kevin, who lies third in the championship here, coming into this meeting. So Harrison has had a fifth, a fourth, a third and a fifth so far this year. Very, very consistent. And with this massive field, go on board with Alistair Nelson running in one of the Resto Racing cars. Now, this is a two-day meeting. The Resto Racing boys are racing in tomorrow. We'll have a standalone programme for them, but a few of the drivers have taken the opportunity to join the main grid. They won't score championship points for the Resto Racing Championship, but they are getting some very valuable track time. And we'll, of course, keep a keen eye on who takes the win as we ride on board with Richard Higgins. Great to see Richard back with us, first outing of the season. Pete Morris there in the number 2 car, the man who won the opening race of the year at Donington Park. We've had 3 different winners in Class 1 so far this year, and 2 different winners in Class 2 as they go side by side. There is Richard Higgins on the outside line of Simon Clark, the championship leader. Clark leading from the ever fast and ever consistent Peter Morris in second place, Harrison third, Chris Dyer fourth. Chris held the championship lead coming into the previous meeting that we had here at Brands Hatch on the GP circuit, and you just saw Jonathan Evans there having his Class 1 debut. Really good to welcome Jonathan into Class 1, the champion in Class 2 last year. Mark Sumter, of course, the overall champion and Class 1 champion last year. And talking about former champions in this race, keep your eyes peeled for Ben Demetriou, double champion from quite a few years ago. I think he's racing as a guest this weekend. That's not him, that's Del Brett in his 997, Class 1 997, looking for his third finish of the year. Joined us last time out as we pick up the battle with the Resto Racing cars very briefly. Now in car with Steve Freeman chasing Trevor Lewis, who had his first win on the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch. The number 10 car there is Julian Morris. He's the leader in the Class 3s at the moment. Steve Freeman busy trying to see if he can get past Trevor Lewis. They're a little way down at the moment in the Class 2 battle. Pole position for Class 2 going to Matt Kyle Henney, building on the massive experience that he garnered last time out. So the 10 car of Julian Morris coming under a little bit of pressure from the 34 car. That's Adam Davey. Adam having his debut this weekend in Class 2. That's the beauty of this racing, is that you can have the interclass battles going on, and Adam just nipping up the inside line side by side into Druids, and Julian Morris seeding that, so the more powerful car going through. Julian Morris looking to try and obviously win Class 3. All the time he's now got the 21 car of Alistair Nelson right with him as well, the red Boxster, and then the 46 car in the mix is next, and that's Wayne Minogue. He took a podium here in the Resto Racing class on the GP circuit last time out as well. Well, the leaders still as they were, off the line effectively. Mark McAleer back in third, the third car of the lead group that we're watching. Kevin Harrison out front, Craig Wilkins in second, and Craig starting to put the pressure on Kevin Harrison here. I don't think close enough to have a go as they go into clearways. Mark McAleer busy chased by Peter Morris at the moment. This championship, of course, everyone wants to win, but as much as anything else, consistency is going to be key as we get towards the end of the season. We still have 3 more events after this one to go. Steve Cheetham in the 43. Steve's had a mixed bag of a year. It was a podium and a 4th at Donington Park, and has had the struggles a little bit since then, but that determined team will, I'm sure, get him back on track, as the lead trio is in fact now a lead train. This is incredible stuff, and this is very much what the championship is about. This is day 1 of the Deutsch Fest here at Brands Hatch, in car with Kevin Harrison, the race leader. This is going to edge Kevin towards second position overall in the championship if he can take this win. But Craig Wilkins right with him. Wilkins had a second place on the Grand Prix circuit at Brands Hatch in race 2, and Mark McAleer starting to look a little bit racy now, looks to the outside line. So Mark challenging, that's going to be brave at Paddock Hill Bend. He has to go back towards the inside line. We go a little further back. Richard Higgins in the mix there, trying to hunt down Peter Morris. Simon Clark, championship leader, is in behind. Then it's Chris Dyer and Andy Toon. The red and black Strasser liveries as ever prevalent at the front of the grid. Simon Clark passed by Richard Higgins down at Graham Hill Bend. Clark in the white and light blue Cayman. We're on board with him now. He's got the inside line coming up into McLaren, but Richard Higgins grabs the line. Still the battle on for the Class 1 lead, though, between Kevin Harrison, the race leader, and then Craig Wilkins, followed by Mark McAleer. This is where Mark 10, look, last time Mark got the wick turned up, went to the outside line. He's taking a wider line again. How much momentum can he get here? Might look at the cutback at Paddock Hill Bend. We go back a little bit further. We've got Ross Morris dicing with Alistair Isles. Alistair in the Class 1 997. Ross Morris in his Boxster. Ross, the championship runner-up at the moment. Trevor Lewis, the lead driver in the championship. There is Julian Morris again, still at the helm of Class 3, up ahead of Alistair Nelson. Wayne Minogue still holds station in 4th place. We've got Carl Hazelton and Josh Morris in the mix as well, as we ride in. Carl with Kevin Harrison starting to close up on some of the Class 3 runners is Kevin Harrison, and with the very close proximity of the chasers, this could be an interesting time for the local driver as Mark McAleer again goes wide. He's got a little bit more progress this time than he had previously. He gets his nose in front as they cross the line and completes the move, but then back down the inside line goes Craig Wilkins. They're coming up to pass Carl Hazelton, the Class 3 car, who brilliantly sticks to the outside line, allows the Class 1 boys through. Porsche sent to Chester, Martini livery car. A super driving by Carl Hazelton. He's done quite a few races outside of the rest racing competition with the Class 1 and Class 2s, and allows the lead battle through on the inside. What a battle for the lead now. Was there a little bit of close contact there? Because on the outside line, Craig Wilkins is trying to have a go at Kevin Harrison, but through on the inside, there's a gap now on the inside line at Clearways, and Mark McAleer goes through into 2nd place. You cannot blame Craig Wilkins for having a look at the outside line, but it didn't work for him. Left the door open. He's down to 3rd. Mark McAleer 2nd. And race leader from the outside of the front row is Kevin Harrison. There in the 88 car is Matthew Harris, having his debut, not looking too bad at the moment as the leaders go through Druid. Simon Clark very wide there indeed, side by side with Pete Morris. Those two battling for the outright lead of the championship. Simon Clark, though, has got the upper hand at the moment in the blue and white Cayman. Pete Morris next up from Chris Dyer. So Morris the meat in the sandwich at the moment, and Dyer having a look down the inside line as they come towards Surtees. Mark McAleer getting closer to Kevin Harrison. This lead trio now with, I've got to say, 4th position. Simon Clark, championship leader, maybe has got this trio in his sights. Clark taking a double last time on the Grand Prix circuit here at Brands, in the wet and the dry, consequently leads the championship, and if he can get another podium, that will be very useful, consistent point scoring. Wayne Minogue heading the group just out of shot. Ross Morris to the outside line of Matthew Harris. Ross 4th in class. James Coleman is the class leader at the moment from Matt Kyle Henney. Matt on for another podium here. He's had a superb debut season so far. This is only, remember, the 3rd round of the season, race 5 of this year's championship. And Matt in the black and yellow car as the leading group go through. So Andy Toon coming under pressure from Jake McAleer. Richard Higgins runs a little bit wide. Andy Toon goes through on the inside. That's Chris Dyer off on the gravel. Chris Dyer, though, thankfully doesn't spear off towards the tyres, kept his foot in and coolly rejoins the circuit. Chris Dyer. Chris is 4th in the championship at the moment, and that's good for Jake McAleer, who is 5th in the standings. Jake now ahead of Chris in this race. through the 33 car, the blue 997, Alistair Isles, then Ross Morris. Ross, I think, is going to reclaim the championship lead here from Trevor Lewis. Trevor a wee way down the order. So many scenarios to look at, so many place battles going on in the championship table, and of course it's a multi-class event as well. That's the beauty of this type of racing. Alistair Isles looks to the inside line of Julian Morris in the Golf livery number 10, the classic livery. Alistair Nelson having a battle with Paul Seagrave in the 45. Paul running in 6th place in class at the moment. Alistair Nelson busy chasing Julian Morris for the class 3 lead, and there is Julian. Now the two yellow and black cars, I said look out for the yellow and black of Matt Cole-Henny. He's that car mainly in shot there. Steve Cheetham in yellow and black in the Cayman is ahead of him, and Steve running 10th in class 1 at the moment. Matt Cole-Henny is a little shy at the moment of James Coleman. Set his fastest lap, James Coleman, of this race, lap 6, a 53.657, not that far away from Jake McAleer's 52.4. We were briefly on board with the race leader, which is still Kevin Harrison. Kevin, long-term driver in this championship, and as I say, has had a very good solid start to the proceedings, and goes past the class 2 championship leader Trevor Lewis in car with Richard Higgins, who is side by side at the moment with Andy Toon. Jake McAleer in the mix as well. The car they're passing, Steve Freeman in the blue Boxster. Steve running in 8th position at the moment in class 2. Simon Clark still busy working hard in 4th place, and very nearly having closed in on that lead trio. There's a little bit more space between the leading three cars in class, and indeed the overall race as they cross the line. Mark McAleer still trying to close in. Let's have a look at lap times. Best lap at the moment for Kevin Harrison, lap 3, 52.6. Mark McAleer's best lap on the same lap. As we look at James Coleman, the class 2 leader, our first glimpse of James going past Del Brett on track. Mark McAleer's best lap was slightly faster. Del Brett coming sadly into pit lane. I think he's going to be a retiree. There is Matt Cole-Henny running 2nd in class 2, a little way shy at the moment of James Coleman. XBR SEC Porsche racer, 2nd in their championship last year. I'm loving the competition here in class 2 of the Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. Now this group of cars dicing over 6th position. Andy Toon trying to get past Richard Higgins, who is at the head of this group at the moment. Richard racing well on his return to the championship. And Chris Dyer, after his moment off on the gravel, has closed back in on the group. And we'll have a go at Jake McAleer. It's really important championship-wise that Chris beats Jake McAleer here, because they're dicing for 4th in the standings, as I mentioned earlier on. And Chris has no pressure on him, so can explore different lines as we go in car again with Richard Higgins. Richard working hard at the minute. There is Wayne Minogue running 3rd in class 3, 46 car, as past Julian Morris goes Mark McAleer. So Julian Morris, the lead class 3 car in the Golf livery, and Simon Clark. Well, Julian, difficult to know through the twists and turns of Surtees, McLaren and Clearways where to place the car if you are about to be passed by faster machines, and no blame apportioned there, but it has allowed Mark McAleer to get away a little bit from Craig Wilkins, who is in 3rd, and it's a battle for 3rd now, because the championship leader Simon Clark is right with him. Simon thinking about having a look in the big hand Cayman on the inside line, but he's got Pete Morris with him as well. Pete having a good run, and maybe heading for a 5th place here. Peter, as we said, 2nd in the championship, and his results: 1st in the opening race, we mentioned, and then 7th, 5th and 4th. So real good strong table position for him. As we briefly look at Carl Hazelton once again, Alistair Isles trying to get past him. James Coleman having a look at Steve Cheetham. These guys running in 10th and 11th overall. And James in white and green, the lead car in Class 2. Another quick look at Steve Freeman. And we've got waved yellows there. Car off at Clearways. It's the 34 machine of Adam Davey, who will mark his debut in the championship with a retirement. He'll get another 3 bites of the cherry this weekend. Another one in part 2, and our coverage for tomorrow's racing will feature in a separate edition of our coverage. Now we've had a change here because Mark McAleer is there, but where is Craig Wilkins? We've now got Simon Clark in 3rd place. Craig Wilkins is missing from the top 3. Kevin Harrison now the clear leader. Mark McAleer 2nd. Simon Clark is 3rd. Paul Seagrave and Angus Archer having a battle there, and that's just ahead of the race leader. So Kevin Harrison, by my money, looking good for his first win of the season here. It's going to be a 4th different winner in Class 2. Here's the view from the race leader. It was a great start for him, a very well measured race, and has dealt with the traffic well. He's got a little bit more traffic to deal with here, but the Class 2 boys know the score on the short Indy circuit. And Kevin goes through on the inside line. The rear-facing camera showing that Mark McAleer is actually not that far away, but not close enough in my book to put a challenge in on this final lap. But McAleer by no means giving up, and he can't because he's got Simon Clark a couple of lengths behind him as well. The championship leader in 3rd place will, I think, maintain the championship. Yes, he will maintain the championship lead. Harrison along Cooper Straight. Left-hander at Surtees. Still Jake McAleer with the fastest lap of the race. His dad, Mark, will be on the overall podium with a 2nd. Blue flag being shown for Paul Seagrave in Class 2, who is immediately ahead of us, and I think is going to drop a lap on the overall race leader and ultimately race winner. Look, Mark McAleer getting very close towards the checkered flag, but it's Kevin Harrison that takes the win from Mark McAleer, with Simon Clark 3rd. Peter Morris is in 4th place. Craig Wilkins in 5th. Here in the 21 car is Alistair Nelson running in 2nd position in Class 3, which is being won by Julian Morris. So Alistair Nelson will claim 2nd position as he comes down towards the checkered flag. Class 2 has been led by James Coleman, and he will take the win. But here is Ross Morris in the number 3 car, who is finishing in 4th position in class. Great win for Kevin Harrison from Mark McAleer, just a 10th in it at the flag. Simon Clark next from Pete Morris and Craig Wilkins. Andy Toon 6th, then Jake McAleer and Chris Dye. James Cayley and Steve Cheetham in 10th. Class win on his debut for James Coleman ahead of Matt Kyle-Henny. Kevin Molyneux next from Ross Morris and Toby Barlow. Paul Seagrave from Angus Archer. Then it was Steve Freeman. Julian Morris winning the rest of the racing class from Alistair Nelson and Wayne Minogue.
Well, Kevin, congratulations. A brilliant victory that in the opening race here. You led from start to finish, but that doesn't do it justice, really, does it?
It was really hard work, and I had to get past Mark McAleer from the start, because if Mark gets in front, he's metronomic in his racing. He never normally makes a mistake, so it's really hard to get past. So I'm really pleased I got past him to start, and it was just a case of hanging on in there, really.
Not quite the win this time, but some good points nonetheless.
Yeah, some really solid points. Good start to the weekend, and I just need to be consistent. I just need 4 results this weekend. They don't need to be first places. I never thought that Cayman was going to be particularly strong on the Indy circuit. It was probably my best drive, actually, even though it's not my best result. But it was proper 25 minutes of pretty intense. It was pretty intense. But it was great.
Well, James, congratulations. Class 2 victory on your debut in the championship. It's great to have you here. Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it's been a great day, actually. Yeah, I am quite lucky in that race. I managed to position myself quite well off the start and take the lead on the first corner and held it for the rest of the duration of the race. So yeah.
It's a pretty competitive Class 2 at the moment out there, isn't it, as well? So making that break early on was important.
It was vital to get away. I didn't have the greatest start, so I just had to position myself well. But the guys behind me were closing towards the end. You know, Matt ran a great race. Kevin did too, and it was good. And Ross was coming up fast as well towards the end. So I had to work hard towards the end.
Matt, second place again. You're making a bit of a habit of this now. You like this place, don't you?
Yeah, it's good. Absolutely chuffed to pieces with it. I had a really, really good race. Hanging on to it by the end. There was not much more I could do. It's starting to overcook the tyres a little bit, but yeah, really positive and really good start to the weekend.
It's a good time to find this pace as well, isn't it? We've made the point there are 4 races here this weekend and we're moving into the business end of the season now as well.
Yeah, it's going to be challenging this weekend for sure, especially with the heat. My car doesn't have aircon, so I'm sweating in there pretty bad. And yeah, it's going to be a bit of caution, I think, this next race, just so we can see the car through all 4 races, the other 2 tomorrow. And hopefully we can get a nice big haul of points. It's definitely on the table.
Kevin, congratulations. You were confident this morning you'd be on the podium, and here you are.
No, that's what you call cheeky, not confident. Yeah, and that was I had a lucky break, to be honest. I had a good start, got through the pack, and yeah, held my place.
We weren't necessarily all that confident, really, all joking aside, because the car wasn't really behaving itself this morning. How was it in that race?
We've still got the same oil leak that's letting oil over the wheel, so yeah, it's a challenge to drive, put it that way. But no one needs to know that, really, not yet. Not until after the weekend. Yeah, it's tough.
And hot out there as well, so managing tyres, managing brakes, that's always a challenge as well.
It weren't too bad, in fairness. The tyres come off a little bit at the end of the race, but I had the lid off, so I was quite cool anyhow, so I was quite lucky with that.
Does that actually have any effect on the performance of the car at all, having the roof off?
Definitely slows you down, yeah, definitely. It makes it a harder drive, but it's cooler. It was cooler, and I had to, because when we had an oil leak, if the smoke keeps coming in, then I didn't want to pull in, so that was the whole point of doing it.
Second place in Class 3 then for Alistair Nelson, well done. A solid podium and a nice way to start your weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. We're very happy with that. We thought it was going to be a tough race with all the traffic, and obviously being in the Class 3 cars in such a short circuit. The front runners in the Class 1 and 2s were going to come round and catch us pretty quickly, so had to keep the eyes on the mirrors, and we just didn't want to make any contact with any of them. So yeah, good result for us. Quite happy with that.
How preoccupied do you get with watching your mirrors and keeping an eye on the quicker cars, because you've got your own race to run as well?
Yeah, absolutely, and it was one of the worries we had. But yeah, the race started off okay. First 10 laps, we didn't have to worry about them, but yeah, they soon caught us back up. But they seemed to come through in groups. We just made a conscious decision then to move out of the way and let the group go through, and then get back on the line. Luckily, we didn't lose any positions because of that, so we're quite happy.
The Class 3 cars may not be the fastest out there, but they're still hard work, I'd imagine, in this weather.
Oh, they certainly are. I mean, the race finished an hour ago and I'm still sweating. It was very hot out there today. But yeah, we got a great start off the line, and we got mixed up with a couple of Class 2 cars into the first couple of corners, so it felt good there. But yeah, they soon got back on the pace and got past us again. But yeah, it was just great to get the race finished and get the second place.
Familiar look to the grid here with Mark McAleer and Kevin Harrison on the front row of the grid. Harrison will be looking for another fast start to replicate his win from race number 1. Here's the grid. McAleer and Harrison, then Craig Wilkins and Simon Clark on row 2, Peter Morris and Richard Higgins row 3. Class 2 headed by James Coleman from Matt Kyle Henney. Ross Morris third in class ahead of Kevin Molyneux. Then in Class 3 we have Julian Morris from Alistair Nelson. Then it's Wayne Minogue, Carl Hazelton and Josh Morris completing the grid. Get ready for the start. Kevin Harrison will be looking to replicate what he did in race 1. Lights go out. He's made a decent start. Much better start from Mark McAleer. Slow start from Pete Morris in the red and black Strasser number 2, who has dropped back to the lower reaches of the top 10. James Coleman gets away in Class 2 in white and green ahead of Matt Kyle Henney. In car with Steve Freeman. Toby Barlow in front of us. On the right, it's Angus Archer in the number 70 car. Angus had 1 podium so far this year. Very busy at Druids as they go. Look at that 2-3 wide big sort out in these early stages. Nobody going further than the sort of outer white line there. Would have been gravel, the outer white line, or on the outside of that a couple of years ago, but MSV added extra tarmac, and that's worked really well over the previous few seasons, as Jonathan Evans puts pressure on Chris Dyer, who in turn is looking at Mark McAleer. Steve Freeman still busy chasing Angus Archer through on the inside line of Del Brett in the Class 1 997. Wayne Minogue chased by Josh Morris, one of 4 Morrises in this race. Only 2 of them related, as far as I'm aware, that being cars 2 and 3, Peter and Ross. Chris Dyer chasing Mark McAleer, who finds himself down in 4th place. Simon Clark challenging Kevin Harrison for the lead. So the championship leader looking at Kevin Harrison, who is edging at the moment towards 2nd position in the standings. Here's Simon Clark, again puts the pressure on Cooper Straight. Simon was saying to Andy, wasn't he, in the interviews, that he didn't feel this circuit really favoured the Caymans, but you need to look at what he's done. He's very modest of him. Modest from that guy as well in the white, black and green. That's James Coleman, the leader in Class 2. Race winner on his debut. Has he left his debut in the championship too late to challenge for the Class 2 title at the end of the year? That remains to be seen. Del Brett's off. That is, I think, along Cooper Straight. Josh Morris down the inside. Here is Craig Wilkins still challenging for 2nd place. Simon Clark goes wide, and that will give him the run on the inside line down into Graham Hill Bend, which is where they are from Craig Wilkins. Ross Morris with the 34 car of Adam Davey down behind him. Adam, one of the Class 2 debutants with a retirement in race number 1. Wayne Minogue having a dice with Matthew Harris there and being chased by Carl Hazelton as Paul Seagrave goes down the inside line. Class 2 car passing the Class 3 of Alistair Nelson. So Paul Seagrave on a little bit of a mission now. Will try and pass Julian Morris going into Surtees as well, which he does. Very neat move by Paul Seagrave there. So Seagrave makes up the position. Oh, the back end's coming around on Seagrave's car and a gyration. Let's hope the wheels aren't in the gravel and that Paul can rejoin the race, but loses a hatload of race positions there. Back with the leaders though, and it's Kevin Harrison still there. Simon Clark 2nd, Craig Wilkins 3rd from Mark McAleer. Career race 201 for Mark in this one, and celebrated his 200th start with a podium in race number 1, as we saw. Simon Clark though is not going to be content to sit in 2nd place. He'll want to grab another win. He's not going to think about the bigger picture of the championship at this stage, and he's on a wide line there coming out of Clark Curve. We've got more spinners. That's Steve Cheetham, ace spinner. No, there are more spinners, and that's the Class 2 leader James Coleman, who sprints for rejoins. We've got a change for the outright lead too. Simon Clark through, had good momentum out of Clark Curve, pops down the inside on the entry into Paddock Hill Bend. Clark has the lead. Harrison 2nd, Wilkins 3rd. Now Chris Dyer 4th ahead of Mark McAleer. Then it is Jonathan Evans in his Cayman. Debut meeting in Class 1 for Jonathan Evans. Multiple winner in the championship, as you'll recall from last year. Quick driver, nice guy as well, Jonathan Evans. And good to see him into Class 1. So a few spinners. I would speculate that there is fluid down on the exit of Clearways coming out of McLaren, where you accelerate through from McLaren into Clearways and then round into Clark Curve, and it's caught a few people out as Alistair Isles is challenged by Adam Davey. Well, this is 2nd and 3rd in Class 2. Matt Kyle Henney in the yellow and black. Now, there's the oil flag out, or the limited adhesion flag, call it what you will. Matt Kyle Henney 2nd in Class 2. 3rd is Ross Morris. It does mean that James Coleman survived that spin. He got back on the case very quickly indeed, did James Coleman, and he leads, and actually leads by a little way because he's out of shot from Ross Morris, who I think is closing in on the race leader at the moment. Again, we see the slippery surface flag as this Class 3 battle comes towards us. That's Steve Freeman in the blue 68 box, just passing Matthew Harris. So those two having a good battle of it. In car with Steve again, coming up the hill, about to try and deal with some of these Class 3s, which he should be able to do. He's having a look on the inside line of Alistair Nelson, who's going to have the line going into Graham Hill Bend, and Steve just having a little look to see if there's a gap there. There isn't at the moment, so maybe he'll get a run along Cooper Straight, make the move up into Surtees, the left-hander, which he's going to try and do now. 21 car seen him, yes he has, makes the pass. Neat move by Steve Freeman. Josh Morris next up as Paul Seagrave goes through recovering, and the 46 car of Wayne Minogue, then the 24 machine of Carl Hazelton. Ross Morris up into 2nd place. Kevin Molyneux is next up. Then Ben Demetriou in behind. Good to see Ben back with us, triple champion in Porsche Club Racing, won Class 3 in 2005, Class 2 champion in 2007, and then was Class 1 champion in 2009. And wonderful to see him back. He's as a guest drive this weekend, but it will be lovely to see him back and racing full time with us. A very, very talented driver. As I say, triple champion. I don't think won the outright championship, but to win 3 different class championships over the years, no mean feat. As Simon Clark continues to lead, Kevin Harrison continues to give chase and attempts to close in on the race leader. Some traffic looming, both Class 2 and Class 3. Here's the view from Kevin Harrison. Smooth driving style from the local driver, and what superb starts we have seen from him this weekend. Jake McAleer, fastest lap in race number 1. He's still there. Here's the class leader. We've got Del Brett in Class 1, followed by James Coleman. Then second position in Class 2, not the blue car but the black and red Strasser machine, PMC sponsored car of Ross Morris, goes down the inside line. He's got James Coleman within his sights now as Ross Morris, and this is a mouthful. I was going to say the battle is a mouth-watering prospect, and that is a very, very nasty looking incident, and that's Richard Higgins, the returnee to the championship, who has a very badly damaged. Quite rightly, the officials red flagging the race straight away. Richard Higgins, I do hope that he is okay. Ross Morris has caught up with James Coleman there, but I think James Coleman will start ahead of Ross on the restart. But there will be a restart to round 6 of the championship. Richard Higgins, who's getting out of the car, so that's the good news from this incident. The restart about to get underway. Kevin Harrison here could well have the jump on the start, which he does. Harrison, the demon starter. Look at the start as well from Craig Wilkins on row 2. Chris Dyer is challenging the Cayman of Simon Clark. Can't quite do it. Clark's down the inside line, but it's Kevin Harrison, the demon starter, who is away again for the 3rd time of asking. Gets away very quickly. Some people will perceive the outside line here at Brands Hatch as pole position. Certainly in single-seater racing back in the day it used to be, and Kevin Harrison, I guess belief is a lot of it. Kevin Harrison clearly has a lot of self-belief in his starts, rightly so, because they were absolutely mint. James Coleman leading Class 2, just trying to catch where the other drivers are in Class 2, with Matt Kyle Henney chasing Paul Seagrave there. So this restarted race will, I think, we've been told go for 10 minutes, which is fair play. Simon Clark has now got to do the job that he did in part 1, again part 3 of the programme, but part 1 of this second race of this meeting, and that is to try and nip through on the inside line. I think he did that by gaining momentum where these two cars are, Matt Harris and Alistair Nelson coming out of Clark Curve. But he's got pressure immediately behind from Craig Wilkins. It's been a fascinating day's racing. I'm so gutted for Richard Higgins with that totaled car. It's such a pity to see. You can see that's where the incident wound up. But Kevin Harrison, the leader, Simon Clark, what can he do? Seems to get a better run along the main straight. I think we've probably said that about Kevin Harrison when he was chasing as well, but Clark has got Craig Wilkins right behind him. Wilkins missed the first event of the season, but has been ultra fast and competitive since. Hasn't bagged a win thus far, but 4th position at Brands Hatch on the Grand Prix circuit, then a 2nd, a 5th in race 1, as Alistair Isles is slowing and coming into pit lane. That's a shame, so Alistair Isles will be the first retirement of the restart. So Kevin Harrison, the race leader. Mark McAleer has dropped further back as well, maybe tyre degradation possibly on his 997. Chris Dyer 4th, Craig Wilkins ahead of him. I think Pete Morris might have benefited from the restart as well. Was a little bit slow away from the original start, but Pete with typical grit, Pete Morris, the Tamworth man, fighting back and dicing for second position in the championship here. There is Angus Archer in the number 70, and a big wild moment there for Adam Davey. Adam retired in race number 1, but I tell you what, that was a very good recovery from the driver of the 34 car. Just recollecting his thoughts. We've got Matt Carl-Henny going through a little way back as well. But Davey recovers, so fair play to him. I think it's fair to say found the limit of the car there. And now just keeping to the outside line as a couple of the Class 3 runners nip through on the inside line. So regroup his thoughts and just be keen to bring the car home in one bit, bag a few points and continue his learning experience of the Petro-Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. Adam taking the wide line. Josh Morris immediately ahead of him in the Wally's Jeans livery car. Ross Morris down behind Kevin Molyneux at the moment, so it is James Coleman, the class leader still, with Kevin Molyneux. Steve Cheetham, I think, having had a gyration there. Not a happy meeting for Steve. Really due some decent luck is Steve Cheetham. So we go back with the race leaders. Chris Dyer looking handy. So when they said the Cayman wasn't the car to have here, possibly the 997 not at peak performance, but there is Matt Carl-Henny putting pressure on Paul Seagrave. Good battle between those two, which is for 6th position in class. Paul, the first of the drivers that we saw spinning out on the fluid earlier on. I'm wondering if there was fluid down before that maybe caused the problem for Del Brett, because I think that was towards the tail end of Cooper Straight. But race leader Kevin Harrison, lights ablaze and getting away, so Kevin will be very grateful for this second chance to start to try and move clear from the championship leader Simon Clark in second place. Chris Dyer looking good now in 4th and challenging Craig Wilkins, and Chris Dyer goes to the outside line. Is he going to be able to get the job on the manoeuvre done as they come into Paddock Hill Bend? Craig Wilkins is not going to cede that very easily, really making Chris Dyer work. A bit of traffic now for the race leaders. Past Josh Morris they go. It's been a good race from Chris Dyer. Chris taking the win here in took a win in round 2 at Donington Park. Took the championship lead as well with that win at Donington Park. Good consistent racer as we watch Ross Morris still all over the back of Kevin Molyneux, dicing for second place in Class 2. The lead battle again is hotting up. So here is Simon Clark. Remember, he passed in part 1 of the race at the end of the straight. I don't think he's anywhere near close enough to do that this time. No, he's not. And it looks like Kevin Harrison is going to make it a double here at Brands Hatch, because he's got a good lead as they go across the line for the penultimate time in this race. Harrison leading from Clark. Craig Wilkins still defending 3rd from Chris Dyer. Monumental battle going on for 2nd in Class 2. There is James Coleman, the leader. Here's the battle for 2nd. Ross Morris challenging Kevin Molyneux. Goes to the outside line. He's a fair way back. They're going to be side by side when they get to Paddock Hill Bend. And Ross Morris is giving it a go. Kevin Molyneux giving him room. On board with the overall 2nd place man Simon Clark. Busy chasing Kevin Harrison, who is trying to come through. So Harrison looking for a 2nd win of the weekend, and I think he's going to do it, but it is going to be Harrison who will take career win number 6. Harrison takes it with Simon Clark in 2nd place. Across the line go and here's the battle, and Ross Morris has made it through to 2nd in class. Morris ahead of Kevin Molyneux. Great battle between those, but don't discount Molyneux. Goes for a wide line through clearways. That's the Formula Ford line. That it could be extra momentum. He's chasing down to the flag. James Coleman wins Class 2 there. Here's the battle for 2nd. Ross Morris will take 2nd from Kevin Molyneux. Superb battle between those guys. But what about Class 3? Class 3 is actually headed by Josh Morris. We're looking at Steve Freeman in the 68 car ahead of Toby Barlow. Freeman is 8th in class, Toby Barlow in 9th. Josh Morris the lead Class 3 car just behind them. Kevin Harrison takes A double here at Brands Hatch, ahead of championship leader Simon Clark. Craig Wilkins next for Chris Dyer and Pete Morris, Jake McAleer and Jonathan Evans. Andy Toon ahead of Mark McAleer. Class 2 winner James Coleman getting the better of Ross Morris and Kevin Molyneux. Class 3 won by Josh Morris in 21st with Julian Morris and Alistair Nelson.
Well, Kevin Harrison, well done, a double race victory here, but that was really a race of two halves, wasn't it? The restart kind of saved you there.
Yeah, I went wide on some oil down at Clearways, so that's when Simon got past me. I took my normal wide line and then just slipped. That's when he got through. But I was catching him, so yeah, but the restart, that thing's quick off the line, so I didn't think I'd have a problem getting away. That was good.
It's always going to be challenging out dragging a 911 off the start in the Cayman. But yeah, no, it was still a great result from fourth and made all the better because my sponsors are here. So yeah, it was just, couldn't have really wished for much more, and I got, based on my qualifying positions.
Well, Craig, congratulations. Great to see you on the podium here. A podium position you probably should have taken in race one had it not been for something that was out of your control.
There's never any guarantees, but we certainly looked to be fairly strong in race one. It's interesting, I think I had a stronger race pace in race one than I did in race two. Really enjoyed that, it was good. I'm glad that the driver's all right, which is good to hear.
James Coleman, double Class 2 winner here today. Are you enjoying yourself here in the Porsche Club Championship by any chance?
Yeah, I've had a great day actually. It's been good.
The performance has been really remarkable, and given the fact that you're getting used to the extra weight and everything else that's different, it's kind of surprising how quickly you've hit the ground running.
Yeah, I'm really pleased. We changed the car setup for the second race just to try something new, and it wasn't quite as good as the first time, but it was still good enough. Just good enough.
Oh, it's very close and very fair. I mean, you can't ask for more fun than that and more fairness. He gave me loads of room, I gave him loads of room, and in the end, on the last lap, I managed to get it round. So, all fun and games.
And likewise, when you get out of the car, it's all laughs and smiles and jokes, isn't it? The respect between the drivers on this grid is admirable.
Oh, we're all just glad that we give each other the space, we respect each other, and then we've got it all to do again tomorrow now, so we'll have another crack at it.
Oh mate, without fail, Ross was all over me like a bad rash. I mean, gee, I didn't know where to go, but Venice, we had a good race, clean racing, very tidy, and yeah, last lap it was him, it was me, and yeah, we done it, and he done it in the end, in fairness. So yeah, couldn't block him anymore.
We used today as a testing day because it's my first time back in the Porsche and Bolton car since last year. With the other suspension we were on last year, it was a road-based suspension, so you get a lot of body roll going into corners, so you can't carry as much speed. But with the new suspension, you've got to be a bit more precise. But if you are precise with it, you get a lot more grip from the car, and a lot more control and driver feedback. So it's a really good step.
Not quite the victory this time, but are you happy with that?
Yeah, Josh is a very good driver, so I was defending and then he slipped past me. So very pleased with today. Yeah, he's a good driver.
It was a great battle as well in the early stages, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was defending all the way through that.
Congratulations, a double podium in class here this weekend, a second and a third. A good day all round for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were very happy with the second place, and just absolutely fantastic to get two podium finishes, like you say. Yeah, great weekend.
Championship table looks like this. Simon Clark leading, Kevin Harrison up into second ahead of Pete Morris, Jake McAleer up into fourth from Chris Dyer, Andy Toon, Steve Cheetham and Mark McAleer. In Class 2, Ross Morris back in the lead from Matt Kyle-Henny and Paul Seagrave. Disappointing day for Trevor Lewis, who's down in fourth ahead of Steve Freeman and Kevin Molyneux.
Well, we've enjoyed some spectacular racing here today at Brands Hatch with the Petro Canada Lubricants Porsche Club Championship with Pirelli. A double victory for Kevin Harrison in Class 1, with James Coleman doing the double in Class 2. They'll be looking to repeat those performances next time out, where we're back on the fabulous Indy circuit at Brands Hatch. Join us then to see what happens.